All right, I'll call to order our meeting for November 20th.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Present.
Vice Chair Harris,
Present.
Chair Waymeyer,
Present.
Commissioner Dunn,
Present.
Commissioner Dickinson.
Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our consent agenda today, meeting minutes from November 13th, the canvas minutes from November 13th, tax exchange orders total $338.90 in claim vouchers in the amount of $1,929,066.86. Includes a large payment for Old 50 Highway. That's why it's so high. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved. Second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer.
Yes, down to items of business. Christie has an update for us on EMS. Good morning.
So I am going to start with the second quarter 2024 report. Just looking at the spreadsheet with the financial data on it, you can see that our call volume increased to a little over 11, almost 12 calls a day versus the same time last year. We were right about 9, so definitely we've noticed that increase in call volume. As far as our deposits go, we were able to bring in $236,979.52, which means for the year to date, we have brought in $553,954.94. I would like to point out that June was quite a challenge because we couldn't get on the computer system for quite a bit. So the revenue for June was down. We do anticipate it coming back up. However, at the halfway point, we needed about $550,000 to make budget, and you can see we were already over that amount. So financially, things look better this year than what they did last year. On the second page, we do have our adjustments, total $79,057.48. And again, those adjustments are just our contractual write-offs. And then we have also entered into the Blue Cross Blue Shield, the quality reimbursement program, and we were able to get back an additional 6.84% in the second quarter of 2024, accounting for an extra $2,381.86.
What's the program? What do they ask of us for that one?
So the basics of it is it's just an incentive to use the computer system with the database that they have. We are in a database where if somebody's Googling ambulance services, we do pop up in that. You'd be surprised, we do get phone calls quite often asking, can we perform certain services. Another thing is just the regularity at which we have to go in and check claims, but we have consented to get our claims electronically through them, and it's showing quite some,
Gotcha.
for our little department, $2,300 is significant. So
More efficient for them.
It
so they give
is.
us a better rate.
it
Makes
is.
sense.
So I do have the adjustments report that we've already talked about.
All righty. Is there a motion to approve the adjustments report that's been presented?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yeah.
Chair Waymeyer.
Yes.
And then the actual operational data, when I'm going to start off with our runs by the day of the week. You can see that in 2024, Friday was our busiest day, which ironically in the same quarter of 2023 was our slowest day. So it just shows just the unpredictability of EMS work. Again, the runs by hour of the day looks Pretty much the same, except for in 2024, we had a big spike around 10 o'clock in the morning, and things really didn't settle down until about 4 o'clock in the morning. So just busier than we've been in the past. Runs by county, the majority of them, of course, were in Franklin County, but we did go to Anderson County, and Miami County in addition. When we're looking by our runs by our zone, so our ambulance districts, Ottawa South added over 100 calls in the period from 2023. There was also an increase pretty much across the board, which we would expect with call volume being up. As far as our runs by our response requests, the majority of our calls do tend to be those 911 calls, then followed by interfacility transports. Our standby numbers are higher than what they were in 2023, but that's because the state has requested that we track those a little differently. And we'll talk about those here in just a minute about how those look. As far as our runs by our unit disposition, about 80% of the calls ended up with us having a patient on the call. And then here's our standby purposes. 80% of those were our move-ups, and that was just us facilitating from one district to a district with a higher call volume. We did also have 10% of our calls were fire standbys. We do go and provide medical support whenever there's a structure fire, followed by then public safety support and mass gatherings. Uh, 83% of the calls that we had ended us providing care to a patient. And then our transport dispositions, the majority of our calls we did transport. However, 14% of the patients that we saw refused to let us transport them. Oftentimes, those are simply something where somebody fell or somebody else would call an ambulance on their behalf, and the patient themselves doesn't feel like they need our services. With our average run mile summary, you can see that the maximum distance that we traveled, this would be round trip, was a little over 100 miles, so 116 miles, which when we start adding calls in, it does increase our times. So even if we're just increasing 2-3 calls a day, when we're looking at this much mileage, it does make for some significant challenges. On average, though, just from the station and to round trip was about 60 miles. Moving on to our hospitals, the majority of them are either going to Advent Health Ottawa, Shawnee Mission, or Olathe Medical Center, with, of course, the majority of those staying here in town. Our average run times, the things that we look at significantly are the arrive to scene to left scene, so we call this our scene time. We really want to keep that within a 20-minute time frame, get the patient, get them to definitive care. As you can see in 2024, our scene times did go up to the average was a little over 26 minutes. Just a spoiler for next time, the third quarter looks the same. So we are actively investigating what we can do to get those scene times down and why those scene times occurred. But I know this is something that we're going to be incorporated in training to prioritize moving the patient to the ambulance because we are mobile.
I think a lot of people think that if I call an ambulance, they're just going to come and grab me and then take off, and that's not the case.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stabilization involved before they actually are on the road.
That is what most people think, and really what happens is we have kind of a little mini emergency room on wheels, and whatever you call us for, we're going to start treatment before we take off.
Right.
Just our runs by service level, it's either they were either paramedic or EMT or AEMT, so our advanced life support providers were the ones that were providing care on the calls. And with this, just an indication of the severity of the calls. People, since COVID, really just don't call an ambulance unless they're really in need of one. And then we have our move-ups in status 0. You can see that in 2024, our move-ups did increase quite significantly. And status 0 went up a little bit of time. We're still in talks with Ottawa Fire Department about changing the move-up process starting at the beginning of the year. So I haven't heard anything definitively back from them yet, but I do know that we are going to change some processes. And this is something that we have talked about as well. So we are still on that path. And then the last spreadsheet that I have, it just shows us the percentage of time that we sit in system status. So about 0.5% of time, we didn't have an ambulance that was available to the public. Just so that it is on the record, we do have mutual aid agreements that another county could come in. Plus, we always have an administrator on call that in times like these can come in and help facilitate call volume. And that is the information that I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
What is a legal blood draw? What's that purpose?
Sure, that's a great question. So a legal blood draw there is a state statute that gives law enforcement the authorization to perform a blood draw to test for chemical substances in a blood. So if somebody is being charged with a DUI, instead of having them, blow in a breathalyzer, the option may be to call EMS for us to perform a blood draw. Additionally, they could get a search warrant for their blood, and at that point, they would call us to serve the search warrant to obtain their blood.
Okay.
Any other questions? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Christie. Second item of business is consider for approval reappointing Ransom Memorial Hospital Board of Trustee members.
Yeah, thanks, Colt. We have several folks that are looking to be reappointed to the Ransom Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees. As you know, you're still responsible for this board. We have the 3 listed there: John Cohen, Betty Berzer, and Eric Duderstadt. Crystal Anderson also submitted her stuff, which should be in front of you. And then should you choose to, I have not received his application yet, but late yesterday I was informed that Dr. Ken Frank would also like to be reappointed. That's your prerogative. I did not indicate to the members that they needed to be here for this morning. If you would like to talk to them again, I'm sure they would be willing to come. This is just something that they're past their date for reappointment. It just fell off folks' radar. So if you have questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. I do not get calls from anyone else who has indicated they would like consideration for this board, but perhaps the 5 of you do. I don't know. So.
Does this fill the board completely back up again? Will this fill the board completely back up again?
I believe it is full, yes. Yep. So if you were inclined, you have applications for John Cohen, Betty Berzer, Eric Duderstadt, and Crystal Anderson, and then Dr. Frank. If you were inclined to reappoint, the motion in theory could be to approve all 5 of them.
I think highly of all 5 people, and that's not an issue. My only concern is that there's a good deal of tax dollars runs through the board, and in the past and recently, there's been more interest in that board than before. And I mean, it is a public board, and I think it was a surprise to all of us that it was on here today. To me, it was, so, safe to say it wasn't, published or, opened up for anybody who might be interested.
That's what I kind of wondered. I didn't know how that worked, whether they're responsible, the board themselves, whether we're responsible, or if nobody's responsible
Responsible for
for
what?
doing any
For ad-
research.
Putting it out there to say, is anybody interested?
This is not something that my staff and I track. We don't track the terms of these board members. We
Yeah, I,
can.
no, I meant, do we have to advertise? Can we just do it verbally? Do we have, is there any set? I don't know.
No, there's no set. We don't have to do anything, but if you guys would like to.
That's what I
we
wanted to know.
certainly
I didn't know.
can. Yeah.
In the past, their board and their secretary, track of terms and members and all that. So
Right, and I think that just slipped off of their radar, so.
I guess, like I say, it's not, I think highly of all the people who've been mentioned, it's not that, it's just that it's an important public, service. There's a lot of money flows through it. There's been interest of late, so I think the process should just be, very open and transparent.
Could we consider, to keep the board active, approve these, but then, encourage them when the terms come up again to consider,
They've already been operating without, so.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they get new people on when, like, I don't know how they do that. If they just reach out to people in the community, I don't know. That might be something to find out.
Well, I'd have no problem reappointing these folks. Like I say, just, maybe if, they could, advertise it or solicit, applications from anyone else who might be interested.
Okay, so you would like us to be clear to advertise this and see?
If
Okay.
nobody else is interested, I think that's great. I think a lot of these folks would have no problem reappointing them.
Well, how long, Colt, would you like us to advertise this?
You want
What
to
are
do,
the parameters?
I would say, is everybody else on board? Is somebody else on board? I also don't wanna,
are you talking about for this particular appointment?
yeah,
So, okay,
for this board, just to assure that nobody else is being not considered, isn't being considered.
I mean, advertise for a couple weeks or something and have it done for the end of the year, for sure.
Fine with me.
Yeah, at least that, that way you could say, we look,
Sure.
nobody else interested. Not saying all these people aren't very qualified. I'm just saying,
It's as much not a intent to detract from what
No.
they're doing or be a naysayer to them, as much as we can say, hey, it was open, nobody else applied, my concern's just the process is all. Thoughts, Roy?
Well, my only thought is that, I get questions about what does the hospital board do? Basically, I just say they oversee the sales tax dollars to go to the hospital. I don't know if that's exactly what they do, or they do more than that.
and that's our main, yeah.
That's my only question that I receive is there a board and what do they do?
My question would be that some of these have expired, so if we say, well, then we're gonna still wait, then they actually have a board that's not functional right now, but they don't have their vote for the sales
I
tax
was
until
gonna say,
usually
when do they-
January.
It's tax, yeah.
But they usually start the process in December. I don't know.
We got on it sooner.
I never served on it, so I didn't know. As a commissioner,
Okay. Well, I'll work with their staff and we'll work through it.
Make sure it gets published and everybody's aware of it.
Yep.
All right. The third item is to consider for approval offering the sale of Crestview property commonly located at 1124 West 7th Street Terrace here in Ottawa.
Yeah, this is something that we have discussed on and off for several times. What I am asking for today is for you to formally vote to approve the sale. This does not put into motion, this action doesn't put into motion any specific timeline. The law requires that we publish notice for 3 consecutive weeks. We have to wait 45 days from the first publication before we can proceed with the sale. So I do not have the notice prepared, but if you are inclined to vote for this, we need a supermajority vote, and then my staff and I can start working on that notice and getting it published. We did receive an inquiry, and it's something that Janet and I discussed this. It's been some time ago. We received an inquiry about a lot split because the issue there, as you know, is you have the Crestview facility itself, and this is where, no matter how it looks from 30,000 feet, this is not a simple transaction. It's not, and it's going to take time, and I need the 5 of you to understand that. You've got the Crestview facility, but behind it, you have the structure that the Historical Society, they believe that they own that, and that may very well be the case. I'm not in any way, shape, or form trying to dispute that, but they have a facility behind the building that they are storing stuff in. Seeing that they are our community partner, we need to work with them on remaining in that building and ultimately helping them transition. So the inquiry was, could we lot split it and just split that off? In talking with Pat, I had Pat Toth look into that. It may be theoretically possible, but it would be a Hail Mary. To meet you would need a variance. There are several reasons why a lot split just isn't. It's
At
not.
one point, we talked to city staff about that or ran the idea by them. The 2 concerns I remember were that it doesn't meet the regulations for frontage on a road because there's no road there. And then also the lot you're creating wouldn't be consistent with the neighborhood. It's residential use. I mean, it's all zoned residential, and you essentially have a little island of storage building in the middle of,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't be likely to get support, and it doesn't meet the regulations, doesn't meet the rules.
Yeah, yeah, you're creating a landlocked parcel. I mean, there are so many reasons why. So I think what we're gonna have to try and do, if you wish to proceed, is make a condition of the sale that the Historical Society is allowed to continue leasing that building for X amount of time until we can figure out how we would like to help them. And I'm not offering that it's just our responsibility, but I do believe that if we're able to sell a building, obviously we'll have some proceeds we could potentially use to help them construct something maybe out by the visitor center or in another location. But this is what I've asked you to kind of have in the back of your mind. How would you like to do that? So, but all this is today is basically gives me authority to start formally working on this because the law requires that 4/5 vote to sell county property that is valued at over $50,000. So,
Do you, are you putting a price on it, or is it just offering for sale, and then what would you?
yeah, it's an
you will-
auction, basically, so, yeah. And we don't have to accept, I mean, we can have a public auction, and if it doesn't, if it brings $20,000, we don't have to accept that, but that will all be,
We set that up in a process that we'll approve.
yeah, I mean, yes, yeah.
There is, I think, a new planning and zoning guy at the city from who I talked to before. It might not be a bad thing just to go back and revisit that lot split idea. Or if you think that's truly a Hail Mary, then you feel like we've covered it as good as we can?
I mean, if you want to do that, that we can, but then we need to put a halt on this because I need to know what it is that, I mean, you have to know what you're approving to sell.
The
Okay.
legal description would change
It
from
would
what we
change,
published.
yes. Which I'm happy to revisit. I don't,
Well, we did it, I think we did do our due diligence on that as far as, because I think at one point they said if the building came down, the building had to come down. I mean, if the main building came down, then before you sold it, you couldn't just sell it with the building on it. I think that's what they had told us at one time.
it's gonna be a little bit here, because I think there are a lot of little things like that that we have to think through. I just don't think this is as simple as slap a notice together, say we're having an auction and it's done. Like, that's how you end up with a transaction that isn't legal. So we'll try and work our way through some of the issues here, but again, today is just about, do you want to move forward? Do you want to authorize me to move forward with the sale?
You know, on this, I think it's good to move forward, but also, is there an advantage to going ahead and having the building done? That way the building would sell, the two structures would sell at the same time.
What do you mean, having the building done?
Having a place for the historical society to move to.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no doubt in my mind that that would make the Historical Society more comfortable.
Yeah.
My thought being,
I guess what you're talking about, it would sell anyway. It just has to work with the Historical Society for some amount of time.
Well,
Either way.
I would prefer, and if a majority of you are patient enough for that, that is the much cleaner way, is to get the Historical Society set up somewhere. Then you are just selling all of that. You're selling Crestview, you're selling their building, the Historical Society is moved, they're happy. That makes it a much less complicated, but that's gotta be something that the five of you are okay with, or three of the five of
I
you.
mean, I think it makes it a heck of a lot cleaner.
It makes it a heck of a lot cleaner.
make it cleaner, but we've been a couple year, well over a year since we vacated it, and we haven't made any progress on getting them a building. It would likely take a couple years to get something picked out, built, and get them moved. We could work it, we could put it into the lease or into the sale, a condition of the sale. I guess my thought is that 7th Street property, the main building's in such condition that nobody's gonna move right in and use it. There's gonna be a period of time to fix it up anyway, so, selling it before, potentially just letting it sit 2 more years and paying to keep the utilities on, and would get it back on the tax rolls, back into productive use and headed in the right direction. Somebody could start improving it and blight, I guess, as is. I'd hate to see it set as a blight for another couple of years.
I would have to question that a little bit on the speed that we get it put together, but I'd say, yeah, I'd be for it. Go ahead and set it up to sell the whole thing where they could use that building for, say, a year and a half. And we put us in gear. Is that feasible?
Yeah, we can,
That we really don't know what the future looks like when we do that, though, because we don't know what our options are gonna be for that other building or how much we're gonna be responsible for. You're kind of saying in a year and a half, we have to have it done, and we don't have a clue what we're gonna do.
We'd also have the revenue from the sale to put towards the building. We wouldn't have to potentially be looking at pulling it from that money from somewhere else.
Yes. And it'd just be a partial of the money. The ground's worth quite a bit.
yeah, that's entirely up to you guys. I will stand by. It's a cleaner transaction to have a plan for the Historical Society, but if we want to move forward with the sale and figure that out later, that's your prerogative.
What has always been funny about it is all the people that was involved when it all took place aren't even around anymore. I mean, you know, I'm probably the only one who remembers a little bit even. It happened while I was here, but it was a real strange happening when it happened.
And Diana and I spoke yesterday about that, how neither of us were here then. There's no paperwork that we can find that kind of establishes.
I think the building just happened.
Yeah,
I don't think we were even involved. I don't think the board was even involved. And we didn't even realize that they were heating and cooling it until we was picking up the tab on the utilities, and all of a sudden they doubled and tripled and quadrupled. Then we started looking into what was going on, and it was hooked it right into the full building, and that's why everything was going sky high at that time.
The other thing we might consider is that right now, we possibly have somebody that might be interested in it. And in a couple of years, who knows? What,
yeah.
you know, if their interest would have,
There's quite a bit
would
of
still be
interest
there.
right now.
Yeah, that we might lose a potential buyer that,
Well, let's try, I'm gonna try a motion. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we sell the Crestview nursing home with the building of the county and give, with the option of, they have use of it for 2 years, and then they'll have full occupancy.
Yeah, that's fine.
That gets your wheels rolling of what you're wanting, and makes us get our wheels rolling to get the rest of this thing put together. We've kind of put it to the side for a while.
Yeah.
for too long. Yep. I will second it.
Commissioner Dunn?
Well, I'm gonna vote no, because I think the Historic Society, I can remember they wanted a climate-controlled building, and they built it there. So I'm sure they probably claim it as their building and not our building, so
But it's our land that it's sitting on.
I know, but they'll probably claim the building is their building.
They want to tear down the building and move it.
I mean, the good part about this is it gives us funds to build a building, help them build a building, or build a building for them to clean up our mess.
Just remember, we've been more than fair to them already. We're halfway through this process. We set them up in a nice building. There was some fear before that, but I think that's been,
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
I'm only saying yes because I think we need to do something. I don't know if it's all, maybe we'll have time between now and whenever to, we're just progressing. We ain't ending the subject.
Yeah, I mean, it's the sale contract that's gonna have the definitive terms in it. This just gets me.
You can tell what the city will come up
Gives
with.
them the right
on
to
when
get
the city will
started.
sell it.
Yeah.
Was there even a building permit built? I'm not sure.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
yes. Right. Fourth item of business is to set a public hearing to receive public comments concerning the 2024 solid waste management plan.
So I received correspondence from Shay Hanisack, the coordinator for the Lake Region Solid Waste Authority, and she said that this is later than normal because of the addition of Shawnee County, that they had a lot of discussion, a lot of action that needed to be taken on their part, and so we need to set a public hearing for this to be heard before the end of the year. So I have the public hearing date set for, I believe, the 18th of December. That allows us enough time to get this published in the paper and to get everything set for the hearing before that time. Basically, you guys have already looked over the plan. They've discussed that with you guys when they allowed Shawnee County to come on board, and then their board has approved this, so they just need final approval from all of the commissions of the counties involved. So that's all that is setting a public hearing.
Fulfilling statutory requirement, I assume. Is there a motion to set the public hearing for December 18th?
Motion.
Second.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Sotomayor?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. Down to staff reports.
Nothing today, Colt, thanks.
Paul? Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Well, let you know, we're pushing out today the promotion for our YEC event. That's our Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge. That'll be on February 27th at Auto University. That's the entrepreneurship event where 5th through 12th graders can come and participate and go through a number of different things. They have a trade show, they make a presentation, they have a written business plan, and then this year we added kind of an elevator pitch to the program because they're going to add that at the state level, so we want to prep our kids for that. First place will be $1,000, second place $750, and third place $500. So hope kids from out the county, any kid from 5th to 12th grade in Franklin County is eligible, and they're certainly welcome to reach out to me, but we'll start pushing that out here today, so excited about that. That's a great program. On a personal note, I just want to really lift up Christy and her folks in the ambulance service. You all know my wife recently needed those services, and first of all, they got to our house incredibly fast, and then we have a little yipper dog that doesn't like guests, and so the ambulance crew and my son had to kind of maneuver the dog out of the way while they were helping my wife. So extra duty for that, and then it's quickly determined that she needed to go up to KU Med, and ambulance folks took great care of her and got her up to KU Med. So I just want to lift up our great EMT and paramedics and just the wonderful work that they do, and my deep appreciation for not just what they do, but how they go about it. So happy to answer questions. Okay,
Thanks.
thanks.
Kind words. Anything else, Christie? Dustin?
Morning, Commissioners. Not a major thing here, but I'd like to kind of get some guidance from the board. With the recent surplus auction through Gavel Roads, we had a lot of equipment there that did not sell. I think total for our portion, we had about $150, about 50 cents per computer, but not a single monitor sold. Some stuff that we've auctioned or tried to auction in previous tries did not sell for a second time. I'd kind of like to get some guidance on how to get this stuff out of my office. It's really taken up a lot of room. I don't have space to bring in new equipment that we need to get ordered and stored while we can get that rotated out, but need some guidance on where to go with the surplus property that we've tried to sell and got zero bids on.
Is it all monitors?
There's some printers, majority is monitors that's taken up the space. There was pretty much every computer with the exception of one lot, just the computer or laptop sold. There's one lot that we previously tried to sell that's upstairs that did not sell, but the majority is monitors, a couple media carts, what I'll call peripherals, keyboards, things like that.
You know of anywhere that would pay anything for it?
I've got one possible contact, spam email that says they're an e-recycler or e-waste recycler at no cost to us. I'm going to reach out to and find out if I'm just going to end up on a mailing list or whether it's a legitimate thing, but
Are you fine disposing of it?
yes, I am great disposing of it.
Safe to say it has no value.
Might ask Lake Mary Center, they have a recycling for computers and so forth. And
So where can I get a
Lake Mary
contact?
Center, we can look their number.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just
I'm
Lake Mary
fine with
Center.
whatever option the board would have. I would just like to get some office space back.
If they can do, give you, Shay has a direct connection with them,
Okay.
and they do such, come to our meetings a lot. It seems like they did have I don't know if it's on the large, probably more small scale, they don't go in and take out a whole city and whatever, but
Data center's full, the shelves are full, storage shelves are full, and it's starting to feel like the office did when I first got here. It had an 18-inch path from the front door to the data center. I don't want to get back in that condition.
If none of those other avenues work out, is everyone safe, assuming it has no value and he can haul it to the landfill?
I'm sure he's tried everything he could try, down to that point that nobody wants it for junk, so.
Do we take them out to the if I had a personal one, don't you take them out to where you, like, take the paint and all that, or electronics? No?
I believe they would probably take them. I don't know where they would actually go.
Okay, I don't know.
Our e-recycling, we have to pay pretty good tonnage to have them processed.
Correct. It would cost us to do it.
Say many years
Usually
ago,
only
there was
do
an
that.
e-waste grant
was saying-
recycle program, and we could go ahead and utilize that, and that's since ended, and we haven't had that ease of just taking them out there like we had many years ago.
We do purchase things on the state surplus, and I can reach out to the federal and state surplus in Topeka and see if they'd be willing, if we hauled them up there, to give them away.
Yeah. Yeah, but whatever you can do, figure it out.
All right.
Give it to them.
Enough guidance for you?
Yep.
Feel safe?
Yep,
moving
thank you.
forward? Yep.
Yeah.
Jeff?
Good morning, Commissioners. I only have a few things. Real quickly, we are having our employee appreciation lunch this Friday, the 22nd at noon at the county shop. And you're all invited. I believe last year we had several other departments that participated. The only thing you need to bring is an appetite. If you feel that you want to bring a side dish, that would be great too. And we're going to celebrate with the employees the appreciations they've done this year, which have been plentiful. Been a very difficult year with some of the things that we put in front of them. And again, they've exceeded my expectations, as they always do. So hope to see you out there on Friday.
Is it a turkey dinner? So
We have 2 turkeys and 2 hams and some pork burgers. We're supplying all the meat. Whatever you want to bring as a side would be wonderful. We'll
and you said at noon?
start at noon, yeah.
All right, Janet, anything? Commissioners, Don?
I think, where are we at? If we spend all of our ARPA funds? It's, well, the only reason why I meant it, it's a big deal in Jackson County. They got $7 million they're sitting on, and they can't make a decision how to spend it.
Fighting over what they want to do.
If they don't spend it, it goes back December 31st.
Yeah, pretty much all of ours are spent.
Okay. Sheriff's not here, but I was gonna bring it up, just for curiosity. I couldn't remember, do you guys remember exactly what the $225,000 grant he got, where it came from? And I don't think it was to be used for salaries or anything like that.
No, it's from the federal government and it's for technology, so.
Okay. Reason why I asked, Miami County just got awarded $375,000 for salaries to hire 3 new officers for 3 years. And it's a federal grant also, and through the Justice Department. And I didn't know if there's something they got it, if it's something that the sheriff there knew about it, or maybe he's already tried and didn't get it. I just thought there'd be something curious. Thought I'd never heard of such a thing. I've heard it for SRO, but I've never heard it for actual road officers or like that. Or like that. It's like a 3-year grant. They can only use it for base salary. They can't use it for overtime. But just 3 more officers would do away with a lot of overtime that they're using.
I know him and his command staff are down in Mulvane at their state conference. I can talk to Jeff about that and see what they do. Those grants, though, are tricky because once they run out, you've got 3 employees that, obviously hope to remain employed in the grant funding.
Oh, I know. It's the same way with SRO. Run into the same thing.
The quickest 3 years.
I have nothing.
Yeah, I went to the ECAN board meeting last night. It was our annual meeting, and it was with the Board of Trustees and also the Head Start Policy Council Board. It was out at Neosho County Community College, and everybody in Head Start gave a presentation. Every aspect of their operation, they gave a presentation, and also all the ECAN directors for each of their activities gave a presentation. And then we had a board meeting, so it was kind of a long meeting last night. But and ECAN Board of Trustees is made up of the public sector, which is county commissioners mostly, or representatives of county commissioners in the organization. And then there's the consumer and the regular public representative. So there's three phases in each, 3 people in each county if we had a full representation there. So it's a lot of people. So anyway, we had a good dinner, and we have a new board president who was from Franklin County. Jesse Moffin is the new board president for the board of trustees, and they just gave an overview of how ECAM was ending up their year and how everything was going, and everything's going pretty good with it. So that's my report.
Had chamber coffee on Friday at Turner Flowers. Kind of a history of the business and where it started and where it's come from. And if you've ever been in there and taken a tour of the whole facility, there's so much more there than you realize. I had a Chamber of Commerce board meeting yesterday morning. I did attend the pancake breakfast at the new Lincoln Ottawa Harrison Fire Station out on Sand Creek. Very nice facility. Good crew out there, so it was fun to just meet with people out there. And then the hospital board did announce this week that they have hired a new CEO at the hospital, so he will come on board in January. That's something that they've been without for, I think, probably 6 months since Dallas left, so they're excited about having a new guy come on. It sounds like he's very well qualified, and hopefully he'll be in it for the long term. And that's all I have.
Is there a motion?
Before you adjourn, Cole, something I neglected to mention, the extension office is in, they're searching for room for storage, and they have asked if they could potentially rent, not this conference room, but the little suite next to it. I certainly have no issue with that, with drawing up a lease, but wanted to make sure there were no issues. I mean, it's storage, and I mean, I would be inclined to offer them the same rate they're paying for their current space, which is, or I guess I don't know exactly what that rate is, but a rate that's consistent with what we lease everything else for. But just want to make sure there's no, the lease would come back in front of you. Just don't want to get rolling on it if there are issues.
It's a great idea, because that's a very small space, so who would want it, just that one little room? So that's perfect. I think it's great.
Good. Is that a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.